Hello, I'm Alba and this is my video for the final exam of Resources and ICT. I'm going to show you the projects and different activities that I designed for students in 6th grade of primary education. The topic they will work on is refugees. Students need to know the society where they live and probably they will have refugee classmates, so I consider this topic useful to work many aspects in this educational stage. According to Lomloe, the objectives we will work with will be to respect human rights and pluralism of a democratic society, to know, understand and respect different cultures and differences between people and no discrimination due to different reasons, to gain a basic communicative competence in a foreign language, to develop basic technological competence and to start using ICTs for learning in a critical way, and finally to use different artistic expressions and representations and to start creating visual and audiovisual materials. We will mainly work in this project contents of English. However, some activities will address contents from other subjects or areas, such as civic and social values or social science. Taking as a reference the ACAT framework developed by Goodyear and Carvalho, which is activity-centered, we assume that learning takes place by doing things like thinking, making, or moving. Emergent activities cannot be controlled. However, we can set up some conditions that will contribute to achieve our desired learning outcomes. There are 3 key dimensions which can be modified and designed. Firstly, the activity is epistemically situated, so we will propose students some tasks, which means that we will specify things that they will do, and I will speak about them later. Secondly, we will define the set design, which means the place where the activity will be developed. In our case, it will be carried out in a computer lab. And the tools and resources students will use, which I'll explain in a few seconds. Finally, we need to set up the social design of the activity, which means how students will interact. In our case, this will be in groups of 5 people working as one, as the final mark of each task will be the same for all students. Now I will explain the sequence that these students are going to follow and how to do the activity. In the first session, we will do an introduction activity. They will watch a video about refugees and we will work on this information in class. The teacher will use this video to catch students' attention about the topic and then we will explain the concepts and vocabulary they do not understand. Also, we could explain students how to use the tool vocabulary.com to complete other parts of the project and to look for useful vocabulary and meaning themselves. Then, the teacher will explain the second task and will set up heterogeneous groups of 5 or 6 students. So, in the second session, groups will start working on the creation of a comic using the tool Pixton. We must have created a classroom using a professional email and we will add the corresponding students. Pixton will then generate a link to be used by students logging. They will be assigned a username so they do not need to create an email account to access and start creating their comics. Firstly, they will create an avatar according to their physical characteristics. Following the information in the video and making some research about refugees, they will create a comic of at least 10 cartoons using text, images, and telling the story of a refugee child. As free version of Pixton does not allow to download the comic, they will use a screenshot tool, such as the free Windows snipping tool, to create a PDF with the whole story. They will have 4 one-hour sessions to do this activity. The third activity will be the creation of a trivia game. They will use a free template called Trivial Quiz 2 they can find in the gamification section of Genially. To access this tool, we will need to provide each group with an email account that they will use also in the last task. The game content must be related to the topic of refugees, and each question should be connected to a specific subject or subject content. For example, question number 1 in our sample is about geography. 2 sessions will be dedicated to finish this task. The next activity will be creating a blog using Google Sites. The teacher will create 1 page for each group where they will post their comic in PDF, their trivia game, and a section called Learning and Helping, where they will write in English about 3 things that they learned and 3 things that they can do to improve a refugee's situation from school or their daily lives. Google Classroom will be a transversal tool since it is where activities will be assessed by the teacher. So one representative of each group will submit the 3 main task products, a PDF for the comic, the Genially link for the trivia game, and the group page link of Google Sites. To see an example of how the final products would look, please check the Google site created and the different pages of Group 1, which is where I have located the final product samples. You can access the link in the script of this video. To evaluate the tasks, I have created 3 rubrics using Google Classroom, so the teacher should show students in advance the different assessment criteria included in the rubric. Moreover, observation of students' work will also be a part of their mark, so the teacher should take some notes about their performance. Firstly, an ethical problem of doing these activities in the classroom would be the access of students to non-desired webs with explicit content. So we should avoid this monitoring what they do in class. We could also block access to certain resources and suggest students where to search information. Other ethical problems are related to the privacy of data, the ownership of creations by students, and accountability for their actions in a digital space. Let's see the information provided by the Privacy Program of Common Sense and a classification for assessing these ethical aspects for each of the tools, based on the rubric created by Anstey and Watson in 2018. Pixton has a good mark according to Common Sense Privacy Program. Some problems stated in this web, such as the collection of personally identifiable information, can be solved by creating a classroom and providing students with a username. Also, it is limited regarding the possibility of saving or exporting content in different formats. Genially, Google Sites and Google Classroom require the creation of a Gmail account. If we want students to use an account for minors, they will need authorization of parents using Google Family Link, and this could take a long time and collaboration from families. So the main ethical issues according to the rubric would be those related to the creation of accounts, but as we will do the activity in class, we can control these aspects by monitoring students. And again, we see some limitations regarding the exportation of data, which we could solve by using other tools. Now I would like to quote Lemke to speak about 3 aspects of ICTs which are in my opinion the added value of using them for this activity. Firstly, Lemke speaks about visualization, and in our activities students are learning while combining visuals, text and sound, so this will increase their engagement in the activity. Secondly, these tools allow students to access a new way of learning and interacting within digital environments, and this is what Lemke calls democratization of knowledge. And finally, they will learn in a participatory way, which means that they can collaborate and work together. Using these tools, they will also learn how to access, create, and disseminate information using Google Sites, and they can create more quickly nice products such as games or comics. So efficiency would also be an added value. In addition, they will improve their digital competence and learn how to select information in a critical way. And in my view, the most important value of using ICTs is that they will practice to gain specific skills that will allow them to be more prepared for their future at a personal, professional, and academic level, as critical and efficient use of ICTs is required in almost every context of our lives. These activities are designed to be carried out in the classroom, but what if students would need to do it from home, or what if we want them to do it as homework? Well, in these cases, they might work using video conference tools such as Zoom, or tools like Google Documents. To scaffold our students' work, we could also prepare a video tutorial or a document explaining the steps to be followed. Finally, they could use their Gmail account or Google Classroom to communicate with the teacher if there is any doubt. However, even if we plan all these activities, some students might not have internet connection at home, so we need to consider alternatives for students facing digital gap or a lack of resources. For these cases, those who cannot access ICTs from home could go to others who do have the necessary resources to complete the activity. Finally, let's see how this activity will improve our students' PLE building. PLE means Personal Learning Environment, and according to Adelan Castañeda, it is a combination of tools, sources of information, connections, and activities that a person uses regularly to learn. So firstly, regarding the access to multimedia information, to achieve the goals of the activity such as the creation of the comic or the trivia game, students will constantly discover where to search information and how to practice creativity regarding this search. Secondly, regarding the recreation of knowledge, Pixton, Genially, and Google Sites are tools that will help them creating information. Moreover, sharing their views in a blog about things they could do to improve refugees' situations will contribute to improve the reflecting and the social part of their PLE. Also, as they will work in groups, they will interact with their classmates using Zoom, Google Drive, or simply personal conversations, as well as with the teacher through Google Classroom. So we have reached the end of this part of the exam. I have realized how difficult it is to create a good activity and all the aspects we should consider to achieve an effective use of ICTs. Thank you for listening. Now I will change the format to speak about the second part of this exam. Don't forget to check the script to see the references and resources I have created for this video. According to my professional needs as a future teacher, I need to include in my PLE different sources of information and tools which were critical elements of the subjects of Resources and ICT. Let's see them. To access information, I will choose the content of all the materials provided by our teacher in different formats. So the sources of information will be the readings and videos of this subject. Also, we used interesting webs, and from them I will choose the hour of code, as it will be important to promote computational thinking, which is a key aspect for primary education students and the preparation for their future. To modify information while reflecting, Google Docs and Google Sites are essential to do things with information and reflect at the same time, both individually and with other people, as well as for the social part of my PLE. Here, I will also include Instagram, as it is very popular and I did not really like it, but I discovered how powerful it is to share with other teachers our work and ideas in the future. Among the elements of the holistic teaching competence for a digital world, the most relevant in my opinion are, firstly, being experts in digital educational content. This implies knowing how to relate technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge, or TPAC, which is the knowledge that teachers have about how to use technology in an efficient way to allow students developing skills related to certain contents. In this course, we learned how to apply TPAC by creating activities using tools such as the Hour of Code or Google Sites. This was a different and useful way of achieving certain contents or competencies as future teachers. Secondly, being experts in enhanced organizational or personal learning context, which means that we need to be aware of our personal learning environment and try to modify and enrich it according to our needs. The activity we made related to our PLE as a group was useful to understand this concept and to start thinking on our PLE, which will be part of our digital competence. Finally, being sensitive to the use of technology from a social commitment perspective. This means being aware and managing issues related to the legal use of information, security, and digital identity, and teaching our students how to be critical, responsive, and reflective in a digital world, which is quite a difficult task. To sum up, we are key pieces to teach students how to use these tools in an informed and enriching way. The ethical classification and the evaluation of tools activities of this course contributed to widen our view on their potentialities and risks. I could understand better the assumptions behind these tools, and I am now more prepared for teaching them from an informed point of view. To finish this video, I will firstly reflect about what is the mark that I deserve. I think that a 9 would be an appropriate mark due to my constant work and involvement during the course, my active and facilitating role as a part of puzzle team, the time and effort invested in developing the activities and creating this final video, and the knowledge, skills, and critical attitude that I gained to become an effective and competent teacher in a digital world because of my involvement in this course. All the roles that I performed were important for different aspects, but being the facilitator was crucial, as it is the person in charge of ensuring that all team members collaborate. Finally, being the analyst was the most challenging role, as on the one hand, I had to make deep reflections, and for this, you need to understand the content and to have the necessary skills. And on the other hand, marking my classmates was a difficult task, which at the same time was useful to mark our students in the future, being aware of the difficulty of deciding a mark which is fair according to what they have achieved.